Hi, Casey. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To start us off, can you just let everybody know when you had your ETS surgery and how you found Dr. Basseri?
I had my surgery February 2nd of 2024, and I found him, well, my mom actually found him on Instagram. We did a deep dive because we didn't really know much about my condition or how to, maybe get a cure surgery or whatever. So she went on a deep dive and found him on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And before having the consultation call with him, I know you said you didn't really know much about the condition. Did you know it was called hyperhidrosis? What was sort of the extent of your knowledge?
Yeah, I really didn't know what it was until we found the Instagram, and then we were like, oh, well, this makes sense, and this is clicking. And so, yeah, I really didn't know what it was. And so, having that Instagram and seeing everyone's experience and his insight was really helpful.
Yeah, you're able to relate to that and be like, okay, that's definitely what I have. I'm sure watching the videos, it's like, I deal with that same thing, and it
Yes.
makes it easier to kind of connect the dots. Where did you travel from to get out to LA for surgery?
I'm from Johnson City. So I think, if I remember correctly, we drove to Asheville, flew out of Asheville. And I think we had a connecting flight somewhere, but yeah, I came from Tennessee.
Nice. And did you guys turn it into a vacation? Did you stay a few days, or did you go just surgery and back home?
I think I stayed for roughly 3 days. I stayed at the Beverly Hills Hilton. And
Nice.
I made that like little vacation there just itself. I had like
Yeah, of course.
room service. It was really nice. But I remember we drove around Beverly Hills just to check out the houses and the area around the hotel, really.
Absolutely. And going back to before you had the actual surgery, so you had your consultation call, and then did you go through insurance or did you self pay?
We self paid. I was very grateful that my parents were willing to self pay and
Yeah,
get this fixed for me.
absolutely. It's so life changing. I'm sure your parents agree it's worth it to see the change in you. And kind of going along those lines, after surgery, did you notice a change in yourself, confidence wise, and your family? Have they noticed any difference in you?
Yes, I would say my confidence really boosted after I got the surgery just because I was very like timid and shy when I was meeting new people,
Of course.
just because I was avoiding handshakes or any physical interaction at all costs. And then after my surgery, I was really looking forward to, shaking someone's hand whenever I meet them. And my family always makes little comments at times when I would be struggling with my hands. They'd be like, "Oh, do you remember you'd be struggling with this? But like now you don't have to worry about it." And so that's been really just amazing to see the difference.
Absolutely. I think for everyone that had surgery, you kind of get to a point where you don't really think about it anymore because it's just your new normal. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, after my surgery, I would say that I thought it was like the new normal, and I was like, oh, I don't really remember life before. But
Mhm.
in little moments, like this past week, I've had a couple of moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, this would have been terrible or terrifying for me. I was holding like in a circle with some girls just for like a little activity, and I had to hold hands, and I was like, I would be freaking out right now. Or for one of my classes in my lab, I have to go to like farms, and we had to put on like gloves, plastic gloves, and
Mhm.
even doing that and like taking it off, I would be like dripping and it would be so embarrassing. So just like little stuff like that is a reminder of, okay, I do remember life before, and I'm so happy that this is now like a big change and I don't have to worry about it.
Absolutely. It's the same way for me. I feel like day to day, I'm not really thinking about it. Like, it is hard to remember what it felt like to live with hyperhidrosis the further out you get. And when I look back at pictures or in moments like that, I think, like, oh my gosh, I truly can't believe I lived like that. Because when you're living with it, it's all you know. And so it's like flip side of the coin. Like before surgery, you don't know what it's going to be like to have dry hands every day. And it seems like crazy to be able to just wake up in the morning and not think about your hands and not think about what you're wearing. And then after surgery, you reflect back the opposite way of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I had to actually prepare for like shaking hands, prepare to write on paper.
Definitely.
What would you say were some of the biggest daily struggles before surgery?
Well, like you just mentioned, writing on paper or turning in assignments, like a damp paper, that's so
Mhm.
embarrassing. I would be like, get a little look, like, why is your paper damp?
Yeah.
Or shaking hands, or just like little activities that you'd have to do. I know like middle school, high school, just like class activities, or even sports, holding hands or something. Because I remember I played soccer and we had this like physical therapy or hand massaging activity with my
Mhm.
teammates, and that was probably the worst social thing that I had to do. I felt so bad for my partner because she just like didn't know what to do because my hands were so sweaty, and I was
Yeah.
just like, it was so embarrassing.
Did you explain it to her in that moment?
Yes, I was like, I have hyperhidrosis, like I'm getting it fixed.
You already had surgery, like, in the works at that time?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so that probably made it a lot easier to talk about it. At least for me, I like I was in that situation and didn't know about surgery, I would have been like, "Yeah, I have this thing called hyperhidrosis. I'm so sorry." Like, and it's more of an embarrassment, I guess. And then once surgery was booked for me, I was starting to be way more open with it because I knew the problem was going to be gone.
Yeah, me too. I kept it to myself before. Like I didn't none of my friends knew I had it or struggled with it. But then when I was about to have surgery, I was like, "Okay, guys, I have this and it's getting fixed." So now I can talk about it.
What were some of the reactions with like your family, your friends when you were telling them that you were flying to Beverly Hills to get surgery
We
for
were
this?
like, "Oh my gosh," because yeah, I mean, Beverly Hills like,
Of
whoa.
course, like it just adds this like shock element.
Yeah, but I mean, I just had to explain that it's not a common thing and I
Mhm.
have to go to Beverly Hills because that's really the only place that can get it done for me. And
Yeah.
yeah, they all were like, well, they didn't know I had a problem with it, and they didn't really know what it was. And some of
Mhm.
them were like, oh, maybe I have that. Like my hands are sweaty too, and I'm like, they're just no, they're clammy every once in a while. It's not constant sweat or dripping sweat.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, let's talk about that because I think people without the condition assume when you say sweaty hands, like I deal with excessive sweating, they just think the normal level of sweating, how anybody without the condition, if it's hot outside, their hands might get clammy. And when you tell them you're dealing with that, I think that's why it's so downplayed because they assume it's just typical clammy hands, but it's not. Can you explain some of the like situations where your hands would sweat and the level that they would sweat to?
Well, I would remember just sledding with my sister growing up and having to wear winter gloves. My
Mhm.
hands would be super sweaty, still like dripping, even if it's, below
Winter.
freezing outside. It's just like situations like that, or freezing in a classroom, my hands would still be sweating. And I think people just don't know the extent to it because they just assume, like, oh, if you're hot, then your hands get a little sweaty. Like,
Yeah.
that's normal, I feel like. But it's even if you're freezing or in a comfortable environment, your hands are still going to sweat.
Exactly. It's so different. I would always get really frustrated when I had the condition and be like, "Oh, my hands are sweaty. I'm sorry." And they're like, "Oh, my hands sweat too." And I would just think like, "No, your hands are not sweating like mine. I just know it."
Yeah, and like going off of that, I remember a really awkward situation I was in. My teacher, I had to, I forget what I was working with, some medical device, but it was just like a matte black kind of texture, and so
Mhm.
yeah, that my sweat was really showing on it. And she was
Yeah,
like, "Wow, like you're really nervous," because I had to work with a partner, and she's like, "You're super nervous for this. Like it's okay. Like it's not that big of a deal." It's like, no, I'm not nervous actually. I just have hyperhidrosis.
yeah. I feel that so deeply. I think that, that goes back to the just misconception of sweaty hands. It's either gross to people or they just think that you're nervous. There's no room for like an in between because people don't understand that this is a medical condition. It's not like a nasty smell when your hands are sweating, like how people would think, oh, you're sweaty, it's gross.
Yeah,
It's just sweaty, like water. Like it literally was just water. It had no scent. It was like just nothing could control. I always say you could turn it on, but you couldn't turn it off. Like I could think about it and make them sweat,
me
but nothing
too.
I could do would make them stop.
Yeah, I would think about it, or even sometimes a sound sometimes would trigger it. I don't know if that was
Mhm.
like a for anyone else, but like 3D bookmarks, like that kind of sound, that would
Yes.
kind of trigger it. I don't know why, but
No, that I've never actually thought about that, but that would do it for me too. Or like certain fabrics, like even what I'm wearing right now, this wool material, I would never have even owned this before surgery.
yes, or athletic material, anything I
Mhm.
want.
Yeah. Did you dress according to your hyperhidrosis?
Yes, I would wear jeans all the time, denim, anything that could absorb my sweat, cotton, shirts. Yeah, I would plan out my outfits for my sweating.
And did you deal with excessive sweating in your underarms or anywhere else in the body?
No, not my underarms, but my feet a little bit.
Okay. So hands were kind of like your main concern and then your feet. Did your feet improve after the surgery for the hands?
No, they didn't improve. I feel like my sweat kind of went to my feet and my
Okay, so a little more sweating in the feet. And are you considering the ELS surgery for your feet?
I feel like it's very manageable, so I mean, I don't see a need to right now, but
It
I
is
definitely
so
would look into
different.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting talking to people because I talk to patients on the phone who want their ELS surgery first, and I'm like, great for you. Like, I was like, get my hands dry. I didn't care if I sweat anywhere else after. I didn't care. I just wanted my hands dry. And so, kind of talking about that, what has compensatory sweating looked like for you?
Yes, it really just traveled to like my legs and my back whenever I worked out. Anytime I work out, or it's really hot outside, that's the only time that I really sweat or notice it. But if I'm just like in a comfortable environment or just, chilly outside, go for a walk, I really don't sweat that much. But it's
Exactly.
just only when you're supposed to be sweating, I feel like, is when it would sweat.
Yeah, and how would you compare it to hyperhidrosis? Like, if your hands were a 10 out of 10, what would you say your compensatory sweating is?
I would probably like a 4 out of 10, 5 out of
Yeah,
10.
like on a hot day.
Yes.
That's the best thing about it is sitting here right now, like my day-to-day life, and now it's getting kind of chilly outside in Tennessee, so I'm not sweating at all from anywhere. Even if I were to go on a walk, I would not be sweating. And if that was before surgery, like we were talking about, it wouldn't matter. I could be sitting here right now, my hands are sweating. I could be outside and it's cold and my hands are sweating. So I always say it's like it is just not even comparable living with hyperhidrosis versus compensatory sweating.
Yes.
Awesome. And just in your day to day life with sweating in general, would you say, like, kind of talk about your day from when you wake up to go to bed? Do you sweat at all? For like, can you think about it and make yourself sweat? Or the heat? What's your day to day look like?
My day to day, I feel like now when I think about sweating, I can't really make myself sweat anymore, which is great. Because sometimes I think about it and I'm expecting my hands to sweat. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, they're not going to sweat. So,
Hmm.
but really, the only time that I sweat is whenever it's like hot out, go for a walk. Sometimes when I walk to class, especially when it's, 90 degrees outside, but I really don't sweat that much anymore.
Absolutely. And did you have any phantom sweating after surgery where you would feel like your hands were going to sweat, but they
Yes.
didn't?
Yes. It was any time that I would, hear that sound or I'd think about it, I'd be like, okay, I'm about to sweat. So then I used to carry around a little washcloth when I had to dry my hands off. So I'd like go to look for the washcloth, but it's like they're not sweating.
So, other than carrying the washcloth, like, would you take that to class and stuff with you?
I would put it in my backpack.
Wow. And were you like secretive about doing it, or did okay? See,
I would
my
put it in like my hoodie.
yeah, and you would just kind of like dry them off as you need it to. That's such a great tip. And looking back now, I wish I did it. And my mom would tell me like, just take a washcloth with you. And I was like, Mom, no, I'm not carrying. I don't want to like draw any more attention to it. But there are ways that you can hide it, and then it would have made me so much more comfortable because it would have absorbed it way better than any of the clothes I was wearing. It was just momentarily. But yeah, that's incredible. Have you met anybody else that has hyperhidrosis after you had surgery?
Mm-mm,
No.
I haven't.
Wow. And if somebody was in your shoes prior to having surgery where they didn't really know what their condition was, they just knew like this is not normal, what advice would you tell them?
I would definitely, get checked out at the doctor and make sure that, okay, this is hyperhidrosis. And if you really are willing to get it fixed, I would definitely look into the surgery because it really is life changing for
Yeah,
me, especially.
absolutely. And is there anything you wish you would have known going into surgery that you would tell people now?
It's a really easy recovery. I
Yeah, let's
honestly wasn't expecting it to be like that easy. I just had like, it just felt a little heavy on my chest for a little bit.
mhm.
But other than that, it was a really easy recovery.
Yeah, that's great. And if somebody was watching this who didn't have hyperhidrosis, but maybe they have a child that has it or a loved one, what advice would you give to them to just be able to support their loved one with the condition?
Well, just being there for rants or just complaining. If they're complaining about it, definitely listen to them, just hear where they're coming from and definitely look into the surgery and look at other options like or even the washcloth thing or just, little tips like that to help you get through the day socially.
Yeah, absolutely. And to wrap up, what has been just your proudest moment? It can be a certain moment or just like an overall change that you've seen in yourself since surgery.
Getting my nails done for the first time after surgery was definitely my happiest moment that I've had just because I didn't have to worry about them being uncomfortable or me being uncomfortable. I could just get my nails done and it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, do you do that regularly
Oh
now?
yeah, get my nails done all the time.
Same. Well, Casey, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story today.
Of course. Thank you for having